Episode 6 of Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power ended with one of the series' most show-stopping moments yet. Just when the Southlanders and Númenóreans thought they had won a hard-fought victory, Adar was one step ahead of them. Waldreg inserted the black sword into a keyhole and unleashed a torrent of water that revealed what all those trenches were for. Mount Doom. The water spilled into a volcanic chamber, and the mountain exploded as Galadriel, Halbrand, Bronwyn, and more were covered in ash. Rings of Power's first major twist being the creator of Mordor was a shocking revelation, but it was preceded by the series' longest action sequence yet. The Southlanders faced off against Adar and his legion of orcs. Both sides lost people, and Númenor had to come in to save the day, but their victory made Rings of Power Episode 6's ending all the more devastating. The real twist of the knife begins when Theo realizes that the hilt is missing. Once under his care, it seemed as if Theo may turn to the side of evil, but his budding relationship with Arondir and his mother's strength in the face of adversity turned the tide. Episode 6 leaves Theo's fate in question, but Screen Rant caught up with Muhafidin to discuss Rings of Power Episode 6, his character's growth, and what it was like filming that episode-long battle scene. Tyroe Muhafidin breaks down Rings of Power Episode 6 Screen Rant. Okay, this episode was absolutely insane. Maybe my favorite of the series so far. What was it like to film your first major Middle-earth battle? How long did it take you guys to shoot that episode? There were so many moving parts. Are you relieved to some degree that you can at least talk about some of the stuff that's happened? Yeah, I've known for so long, so it must be agonizing to keep it all in. Getting into the nitty-gritty of the episode, there's been some tension between Theo and Arondir throughout the season, but it seems to clear up a little now that he sees how much Arondir cares for Bronwyn. Do you think there's been some progress that's been made there? This is also the first time that two major branches of the show have collided. You have Galadriel, Halbrand, and the Númenóreans all showing up. What was that like? And then all hell breaks loose in the episode, of course. Was Adar as scary as he was on television? What was it like working with the big bad of season 1 so far? What I love so much about Theo's story this season is you find the hilt early on, you're toying with this darkness, and are tempted by it. I almost expected you to go with the orcs in the last episode. Then this episode we get some hints. Do you think Theo is still wrestling with that darkness and wrestling with that idea of being tempted by the power? It's taken away in a major way at the end of the episode. What's going through Theo's head when he sees all this happening with the explosion? This is presumably the creation of Mordor editor's note. It has since been confirmed to be Mount Doom and Mordor, and it's definitely a foundational moment for the series. What was it like to be part of that? What was it like on set? Was it a lot of practical stuff? Zooming out, what has been your experience watching the show? Do you have a favorite part? With the season wrapping up soon, do you have any other exciting projects coming up? What kind of music is it? About the Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power brings to screens for the very first time the heroic legends of the fabled Second Age of Middle-earth's history. This epic drama is set thousands of years before the events of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and will take viewers back to an era in which great powers were forged, kingdoms rose to glory and fell to ruin, unlikely heroes were tested, hope hung by the finest of threads, and the greatest villain that ever flowed from Tolkien's pen threatened to cover all the world in darkness. Beginning in a time of relative peace, the series follows an ensemble cast of characters, both familiar and new, as they confront the long-feared re-emergence of evil to Middle-earth. From the darkest depths of the Misty Mountains to the majestic forests of the elf capital of Lindon to the breathtaking island kingdom of Númenor to the furthest reaches of the map, these kingdoms and characters will carve out legacies that live on long after they are gone. Check out our interviews with The Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power cast at SDCC 2022, as well as with Morfydd Clark, Charlie Vickers and Tyroe Muhafidin, Robert Arameo, Sarah Zwangabani, Cynthia Adai Robinson and Daniel Wayman, Maxim Baldry and Lloyd Owen, Ismail Cruz Cordova and Nazanin Benyati, Benjamin Walker, Bear McCreary, Wayne Chi Yip, Ron Ames. The Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power Season 1 drops new episodes every Friday only on Amazon Prime.